we built it.
RuCKuS TRuK Part 4. It's
4.
Great to be back.
Great to be back.
Man, this is awesome. We're really rocking them out. I really like this. This is good. We need to keep going with this. We're going to start adding some shorts in. You may have already seen that. If not, it means you haven't really subscribed to our channel. Please do that.
Please.
Give us likes, give us some comments, and without any more of that garbage, let's just get right into it.
So last time you saw us doing the teething problems and the shakedown, and I mean, it's always an adventure.
First build. I mean, well, new fresh build, I should say. Fresh build. You get it out on the road, as we said. Every little thing is like, oh, what is that? You know, you just know that any moment it's about to come apart on you.
Yeah. So you know, we had 200 miles basically on the build, and well, I guess before
we should talk about the paint.
Yeah. Before we left, we painted it, first of all, we generally don't do a shiny paint job just because it's difficult and it's
outside our skill set.
Well, not necessarily, because
it's outside of my skill set.
Translam is shiny, and we brought in some help, but we did a lot of the heavy lifting as well. We learned a lot on that one.
Definitely.
I think we can do another shiny paint job. There's some great folks that are friends of ours, the Matskys, and they helped us get a shiny paint job on the Translam.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, they kind of forced us to do it.
Yeah, they kind of bullied us into it.
I think there was a gun involved. My head or his head, I'm not sure, but threats were made.
Yeah, he showed us how to spray. We sprayed the primer, and we did a lot of the Xing out and the blocking, and he did put the color on and did a great job. And then he showed us how to buff and cut and those types of things. And we're by no means experts at it, but we know a little more than we did. Anyway, that being said, for the most part though, that's tedious, and we really like to do just a basic, just cover up the body work with some paint, but also again bring out the story that's already there. Because all these old cars, it's about storytelling, and that's really what we love the most. And a lot of times the shiny paint job covers up the story as opposed to the other way around. So it's this idea of taking the thing that's less ideal and leveraging it to your benefit. And the way things age.
Right. Well, then again, back to further the point on the covering up the story, the shiny paint job, the whole point of it is to actually back up the clock, to reverse it, to take away the story that was told and make it back to where it's new. And we all appreciate that. We enjoy it. We like it. But
well, look, the
story's gone.
For instance, I mean, like Clint Eastwood is not that interesting as a baby, right? It's a lot more interesting with the grizzled lines and the gravelly voice, and that's what the older car is, right? It's either you got to have Clint Eastwood as the baby, which is really beautiful and whatever, but then you got I've just pulled that one out of my rear end.
I like that.
But it is kind of the analogy, and he made a good point. I hadn't really thought of that. It really is like turning back the clock and taking the story away. Now, in this one, you'll notice in some of the pictures that we went ahead and just painted the whole thing almost. One of the little things that we left, do you remember what that was?
Well, we left the piece on the tailgate, of course, the trim piece there.
Well, right. But at the bottom of the tailgate, I left the EFI. We didn't paint the bottom of the tailgate.
Right.
And because I love that.
And it was already white anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the thing. We really talked about leaving it white and just painting the cab section that was blue. But then we started looking at it and we're like, well, let's just go ahead, because there was a lot of paint missing. And so really, to do what we wanted to do, we went over it. But the way we do it, and the way we went over it, it still left all those old areas of scuffs and lines, and then we added the color in. And so once again, it's not about creating new patina, it's just about allowing what's already there to come back through and shine through.
Yeah, so we laid down the entire base coat, white, with the enamel. It didn't take that long to dry either. Did we add a hardener in that?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
That's
okay.
another nice little trick, is to buy hardener and with the regular tractor paint and add some hardener. That was another thing that the Matskys taught us.
Otherwise, the enamel will sit there and outgas for, I mean,
so David,
it might be weeks.
Yeah, he said, add this little bit of hardener, and he had some already, so, because he's been painting cars a long time, so it really did help a lot.
Yeah, and then after that, we started laying out the stripes.
Yeah, so let's, maybe did we talk about the reason why we did it the way we did it?
The livery? Yeah, I mean, I think so, but hey, it doesn't hurt to go back over it.
But again, it's this idea, we love the Marlboro livery. It was such a cool livery. Sort of juxtapose that with Evel Knievel,
yeah,
which has got the chevron with the stars, and like that is cool. And it was like, we were like, wow, these two things go together really well.
Yeah.
And so we did a double chevron. So like Lee said, after the white, we laid the red, and then we laid out the blue. And then we added, again, the color that was already the color that we could see in the old truck. And just sort of put it back on there, and then sanded and sanded and sanded. And this time we actually took a buffer and polished on it, and it was really kind of cool. It was almost like a piece of furniture.
Yeah, really, the story, the uniqueness, all the character was just coming to the surface.
Yeah.
It really worked out well.
Yeah, so
I love
beautiful.
on the fenders, where the extensions, that cap metal that we used out of the shelving and the light cans.
Right.
That really looked cool and aged, and weathered.
Yeah, so the whole thing was just a fun rolling billboard. So 200 miles on it, and we were like, okay, power tour.
Yeah, we got the paint done. And I can't remember when we finished it. It wasn't too much longer, and we had power tour.
Again, it was about enough time to put 200 miles on it.
Yeah, and so
so really,
off we go. I mean, I was in the first leg of that thing. Leaving from here, we left at night, right?
No, it was because we ate dinner. We ate dinner in Bowling Green because I have family there, right?
Yeah.
And we stopped and met my family there. We ate dinner in Bowling Green at around 7 o'clock, and then we continued on towards Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which is, how many miles was that?
Well, it ends up being 700 plus miles before we even get started on the tour itself from our home office.
Yeah, so this truck is it's a full-blown NASCAR truck, except for with a slightly detuned engine, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's an LS1.
And more gears.
Yeah.
Right, so if you're talking about the way it raced at Talladega, because it was a super speedway truck.
Yeah.
We have, the only differences are a more tame motor, more gears so that we can actually go down the highway and not tack it at 6,000, 5,000 RPM.
Right.
And bigger wheels and tires. Otherwise, it's completely a NASCAR truck. And so that means...
And a buddy seat.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And the Igloo cooler armrest.
Yeah, well, we talked about that last time, right?
But there's no air conditioning. There's no windows.
As Lee likes to say, not a single luxury. Right. I mean, we had headlights, we had turn signals.
Had tail lights, yeah.
But we did not have doors.
No doors. No windows.
We didn't have windows. We only had was a windshield and a back window. And with the speed flaps on the roof, if it rained really hard, the person in the passenger seat got a steady run of water. Thankfully, on the way up, we didn't have that problem.
No.
But we drove until, I don't know, 2 in the morning. We got a video of us at the gas station somewhere in northern Ohio, about an hour away. Yeah. And we finally just were like, okay. It was an interesting situation.
It really so
first leg,
we go to Summit Motorsports Park up in Norwalk.
Yeah, and the truck was received really well.
Everybody loved it.
People loved it because it was fun and different, and they loved the story. So they won in the bag, right?
Yeah, it was great. And then from there we go to Dayton. I don't remember a whole lot about Dayton, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's no problems, smooth sailing.
Yeah, so that's
Wednesday, day 3.
Okay, that was sort of the red letter. We alluded to this last week.
Yeah.
So the radar, we were looking at it on our phones, and Lee was driving that day, and I mean, it was like apocalypse now. I mean, it's like the red-eyed Sauron.
Dude, it was
bearing
bad.
down on us. And so it's raining, and we had no wipers. Again, I don't know if you mentioned that, but so Lee's driving, and it's raining harder.
Wipers?
Yeah, no, I mean, so we're literally soaking wet. We're driving. It's like, okay, either we're wet standing still, or wet driving. So we're like, I don't know. It was.
Well, look, traffic was really bad. That was part of the problem, and you could not see enough of the side of the road to get off. So it's just like, we're here, and you got 2 options: you press forward, or you stop in the middle of the road, and that's not good. So
I think we even have some good video with audio. They could.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll see. If it's not good, we won't run it that way.
Well, there's like 3 or 4 clips, but so we're like, we finally get on the Beltway, I guess they call it, or the bypass, and we're like, okay, we're going to RuCKuS Oil Stadium. Well, no. Apparently, RuCKuS Oil's everywhere in Indianapolis. RuCKuS Oil owns the town of
Indianapolis. They own the entire town of Indianapolis.
So we went right downtown to RuCKuS Oil Stadium. There was nobody there. We saw tumbleweed roll across. I mean, by the way, the rain had stopped by this point, and
which was good.
The birds were chirping. It was like, okay, we've just been We've just gone
thoroughly washed.
Run the gauntlet. Yeah, I mean,
we're washed. The truck is washed.
There was not a dry place on us or the truck. So yeah, went to the wrong place.
And then we finally found it's the drag strip outside of Indianapolis Speedway.
Right. So it was on, I think, the far western side. Yeah, exactly. The southwestern side of the town, or just the western side. And it was a great venue again. Once the sun came out, we were able to sort of dry out and enjoy that day. And then I think that's the day we left and drove that night to the next venue.
Right. We went towards St. Louis, the World Tech Raceway or something like that.
The one thing I remember about that night, and the reason we did that is because it had been so hot, and that truck was also very hot. There's no insulation, and you take those things for granted. Insulation.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, why?
We're like hot dogs in a cooker on your stove.
Yeah. I mean, that exhaust is right there, and you wouldn't think that heat would transfer. Oh, it does.
So we're like, okay, we're gonna do this late at night, and we just hit the interstate, and we started smelling gear dope. Okay, so there's actually a two levels of this story. We alluded to this last time about the rear end being a situation that still was not resolved.
Yeah, right.
So we had noticed that we're leaving a little bit of geared up on the ground.
And all over the back.
And all over the back. Yeah. Like, and then race cars do that, right? They just take up their oily. So we thought, that's kind of cool. Well, it's not all that cool. You brushed against it and you got this greasy black streak on yourself. But anyway, so that time I remember we stopped. We didn't make it all the way before we stopped because we're losing transmission fluid now.
Yeah, it was coming out of the top.
And we still, I think we still don't know 100% why that was. And if those of you who are really familiar with T56s might be able to shed some light on this.
That would be great.
But we're running it, fast. Or
we're not at liberty to say exactly
the actual speed, but it was fast.
Could have been some three.
We were interstate running, and it was boom. And this truck was just hunkered down to go. Anyway, so we looked, and sure enough, we're losing trans fluid. And so we took the thing off. I think we had video of that too.
Yeah.
We took the boot off.
And there was a melted seal.
Yeah, it was like an O-ring in the shifter. But we kind of think it might have been just overfilled too. So anyway, that quit leaking. We're like, okay, I quit leaking.
So we're not going to ask any questions there.
Right. So those are the two big issues that we were looking at so far with the truck, which is not that bad when you consider we'd already done, 1,200 miles, right?
Yeah, at least 1,200. That sounds right.
But so we did make it. We went ahead and made it on to the venue that night.
Yeah, to St. Louis. And I think we had also had some clearance issues on our front tire, the front driver's side tire. When we back up, we changed the suspension a little bit. We raised it up just a tad.
It was shifted to one side. Is that what it was?
I think we raised it up. Anyway, we got a grinder out, the Wheel of Death. Somebody had one.
Yeah.
It was battery powered, and we were able to clearance that.
For some reason, I think that was the front tires.
Yeah, it was front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was front driver's side.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. I wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, so one last venue to go, right?
Oh yeah, hey, we were also hanging out with some YouTubers, right?
Oh yeah, we got some good clips of that. I got to hang out with several friends that we've made over the years.
Vice Grip Garage, Emily and Aaron Reeves.
Dylan McCool.
Yeah, Dylan McCool.
He had several of his friends actually that came along as well. That was kind of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Really great people. I mean, what you see is what you get. I mean, super nice.
So I think we have some video of a lot of times you'll stop and do burnout session or things like that. We kind of got involved.
Why not?
That. Yeah. So, hey,
it happens.
Hey, these things happen.
Right.
But yeah, so that was another fun part of that trip. I think we have some antics where we literally backed our truck up to a Tesla spot.
Oh yeah. We were charging it.
I got some pictures of the RuCKuS truck at a Tesla spot. And we weren't there very long. We had a few dirty looks from Tesla drivers, but there was still open spots. So.
Yeah, there was plenty of spots. We didn't take them all. I don't know.
But I think that was that morning. That was the St. Louis morning, maybe?
I think so.
Anyway.
It all runs together.
It really does.
Hot Rod Power Tour is a blur of fun.
So
after that, we go over to Champaign, Illinois.
And that was, one thing I remember that leg and running with everybody was, the roads were pretty brutal, especially in a car with zero rubber in the suspension.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're all hard. Everything's hard on the RuCKuS truck. There's all solid bushings and anyway. So yeah, that was kind of rough and so we left there
and headed home.
And we
deadheaded it home.
Yeah, so we made it all the way to somewhere in the middle of nowhere. What town was that?
It was somewhere in Western Kentucky.
Yeah, right. And finally, I think it was dinner time, and we ran into McCool again.
Yeah, right.
It happened to stop and some of his friends.
It was
and
at a Cracker Barrel.
Well, no, we ended up saying, let's go to the Cracker Barrel.
Oh, that's right.
Because we had already ran to a gas station just out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah,
right? Like we didn't even
I
plan
forgot
it.
about that. Yeah.
They were there, and we were there. So,
I just remember Cracker Barrel.
So we ran with them from that gas station to the Cracker Barrel at this, and I don't remember what town it was. I think it was Paducah.
Maybe so.
I think it was. Anyway, we stayed the night there. Got up in the morning and we're like, we want to be home. It's been a long week.
Exhausted.
And so that was the last of the 7-day weeks, right? No, that was a 5.
No, it was 5.
That's right. Anyway, but we get up, we're going to get up the crack of dawn, we're going to get home by lunchtime. And there's some things that happened that we weren't planning on. One was the interstate was literally shut down somewhere south of Paducah.
Yeah.
Literally 20 minutes up the road.
No reason at all.
We were stopped. And it was early morning, so it was kind of golden hour.
Yeah.
We got some good pictures.
It was pretty. I mean, I got out, took some shots of the truck because.
But yeah.
What else am I going to do at that point?
So we roll on, and the first of the major, well, the only one major thing happened that really kind of scared
We made it into Alabama.
Yeah, we're in Alabama, and if you've ever been on I-65 South, you know that the Tennessee River has this giant bridge that goes over way up, and so we are booking it, like we said, we're not like crazy, but we're booking it.
Yeah.
And so
it's time to get
I'm
home.
driving, and it's that feeling that you get when all of a sudden you're doing something with your foot and the car's not doing anything with it. So we literally are approaching this bridge, and the bridge has like a half a mile of just flat before it goes over the big hump. But it's like a 2-mile bridge, and so we're like, oh no, we just lost power and we're coming up on the big bridge, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. And but the weird thing was that the truck did not shut off.
No.
So
there was just no power.
And I'm like, Lee, we got a problem. And so, but we're going fast enough. The thing's got good momentum. And we talked about this in that last video, how it rolls.
It just rolls.
It rolls.
Yeah.
So we're rolling, but it was too late to stop. So I'm like, okay.
There's nowhere to pull over.
I know I don't have enough momentum to get over the hill. But I've got enough momentum probably to get almost over the hill, but it's still idling. But if I let it out on the clutch, it's just going to bog it because I know it's rolling really well. But for some reason, and I still don't understand why this happened, but I got a little punch of throttle, and I'm like, I just
go
gouged on it. And I think we got to really quasi-legal speeds there, but we got over the hill, and then it did it again, or no more power, but I'm still idling. And I don't know how far that exit is off the bridge, but we literally coasted.
I can look that up.
We should look that up.
Yeah.
We literally coasted off the bridge, off the exit, into a gas station.
Yes. Because we thought we were just running low on fuel.
Okay, that's another thing, right?
No fuel gauge.
Any kind of, we have a fuel gauge. Anytime you got a new car build, you're always having to figure out what that fuel gauge is trying to tell you. We have a fuel gauge.
Is it?
Yeah, no, remember, because it was like right.
Oh, that's right.
It was right above E.
I never trusted it.
Well, you don't, right? That's the thing, right? And it's just, it's just questionable. It's not factory. It's not a factory sitting unit. It's not a factory fuel gauge. You're using all this conglomeration of parts. But we had gotten a cadence with this thing. We had already. This is close to 2,000 miles at this point, and we kind of thought we had an agreement. If we'd known this kind of thing was frowned upon, we might have done it differently.
We would have definitely done it differently.
So so it's literally like a sliver above E. So we knew historically with driving this thing on the whole power tour that we generally had another 25 miles or 30 miles past that.
Yeah.
So now we're thinking, okay, now the rules have changed.
Yeah.
So we put gas in it, and because that was the only thing we could think to do.
Yeah.
And so still not getting pressure, but the fuel pumps go when you turn it on. It's sort of like, okay, whatever. So what we did was we literally, so it wouldn't block up the pumps.
Yeah.
We backed it.
Yeah, backed it down into this little hole of a road
behind an abandoned lot.
I mean, there's nothing back there.
So we're like, okay,
we're out of the way. So in other words, you're telling me that you're not comfortable with people watching you while you work? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's not what I'm saying.
It's just the gas station crowd?
Just the gas station crowd, that's it.
Oh, there's two right there. Those were hiding. So right now we're taking this cover off because our fuel pump and regulator are right here, right underneath this corner. We're going to see if that's the problem. And thankfully we did not pop rivet this down. Some super genius decided that pop riveting this down was a bad idea.
Yeah. That's me, super genius.
Anyway, one day we're a couple of DAs driving in the rain with no wipers, and the next day we're super geniuses on the side of the road. Does that seem right?
I don't know. Something does sound a little off on that. You guys have dealt with this before. You might say, "Oh yeah," well, but in my experience, fuel pumps either run or they don't.
Or they don't.
I mean, and this thing would just.
Yeah, you could hear it.
And finally, though, we're screwing around with it, and we're starting to feel desperate. We've been screwing around with it for 15 minutes or so, right?
At least.
And finally, I turned the switch one more time, and at this point, we'd probably cycled it 15 or 20 times. We turn the ignition switch on one more time, and this time it goes, and it loads up. We're like,
yeah.
Okay, that sounds different. Anything different is good, right?
Yeah. And it fired right up.
And it fired right up and got us all the way home.
All the way home.
So then we get home, and over the next few weeks driving it around, we'd noticed that it would take it a while to fire up and get pressure.
Yeah.
And and finally it got to where it didn't start one time, and we figured out that this fuel pump was spinning, but it wasn't building pressure.
Yeah, which is odd.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before.
So we put a new fuel pump in it, and it's great now. The other thing that coming back around full circle, when we were fixing that, we noticed that the plug had fallen out of the rear end. The big plug on the top of the rear end. So we were slinging. What do you know about that? So like that's what all that gear dope was.
That's why you've got all that back there.
So the rear end was slinging dope out.
Sorry to anybody behind us.
Yeah, right. During windshield wipers on, it's here. So now we have since fixed that and topped it off, but because I think it ran low here's the thing, it never stopped leaking gear dope. So we're always like of the whole like British car mindset, as long as it's leaking, you're good.
You're good.
That means you got some,
if
right?
If it stops, that's a problem.
But it never stopped. But now we're going to have to address something with the rear end where when it's on throttle, off throttle, we get this sort of a shriek. It's not a terrible shriek, but it doesn't sound good. And we're thinking the pinion's going out. Maybe we starved it a little bit of oil. So
yeah. So rear end take 2.
I should say 3. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll just go ahead. Yeah, you're right. It would be take 3, technically. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so all that we didn't talk about Holly LS Fest.
Right. Yeah. That was actually the next month because Hot Rod Power Tour was in August 2021. So typically it's in June, so a couple months later.
Right, and hotter, and so this time we're like, you know what, we're going to be big wusses and tow it up there. So yes, we did do that. We did tow it up there.
We did.
But we had a great time. The Holly event, the LS Fest event, is pretty amazing. It is like the automotive equivalent of a 3-ring circus.
Yeah.
Or maybe a 5-ring circus. I mean, there's like so much going on. It's like drinking out of a fire hose.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome, though. So that was a great experience. Doing that for how many days was that?
Just 3 or 4. 3 or 4.
Yeah, and we parked it, and the Holly guys were really nice to let us park up there in their spot and hanging out with our friends again. And so that was if you ever have a chance to do the LS Fest, it's a great.
Highly recommend it.
2
thumbs up.
Yeah,
awesome. So, awesome. Well, hey, I mean, I guess that's it for RuCKuS TRuK, and we've covered everything about it.
I mean, for now, Bay, the story continues, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. So be looking for more stuff on it.
And next, what do you want to do next?
Translammed.
Yeah, we kind of left y'all hanging on that. Yeah. Sorry about that. You know, life happens, and sorry about that. But we're going to get back on Translammed. There's some really fun things about that build. Yeah. We touched upon it with the paint job with David Matsky helping us with that and all that. But so we'll get back to that next time.
Yeah, we've got windshields to put in and all that good stuff.
Yeah, right.
All right, awesome. Hey, thank you so much for watching.
Guys. Appreciate it.